Hi guys, I'm Shmee, and today I want to do a little bit of an update video with the Mini, because after my garage video where I put all of the cars together, a lot of people were asking me why it hasn't featured so much recently. And this is one of the most ridiculous problems you can ever have in your life, because having, well, at the moment 5 cars means that basically with the amount of traveling I do to shoot these videos, press launches and events, I'm not actually here to drive them all that often. Now I do have friends that can occasionally come by and drive the cars, start them, make sure they're running, because I don't have access to trickle chargers in my garage, but the Mini hasn't been driven too much for a while, so it's been sat here, left a little bit unloved, I guess, which is a crying shame because it is a lovely little car. Now, I didn't used to keep it parked forwards, but after that video, a couple of people commented, why don't you just park it in forwards so it's easier to open the door? Because normally there's a car parked, an SUV parked in this space alongside me. And well, I don't really know why I hadn't thought of that before, so now it's living in forwards. But the other thing, and you're probably wondering why I have not yet already mentioned it, about the title of this video, because I actually now have 2 Minis. That's number 1, and down there is number 2, the Lego Mini. So you know how much I love my little models and toy cars. Well, Lego made this, I guess it must be about 112, 114 scale Mini, and I pretty much had to have it. It is in green, but it has a white roof and white stripes, so it's not quite the same as my car with the silver, but it is really quite fun. And excuse my nerd factor here, Lego stuff may be expensive, but it is quite cool. You can see the engine in there, you can actually take the roof off, seats, they all fold and stuff, the gear stick works. How nerdy is this, right? I'll put a link down below to it if you're interested. And then there's like a picnic hamper and a water bottle and stuff in the boot, which is rather funny. Anyway, I thought that was fun. Took a couple of hours to build. Apparently it's for 16 plus. I nearly struggled a little bit with that one, but we'll leave that one as it is. So today's dire is basically to take the little Mini for a drive. I'm going out of town, give it a nice run to stretch its legs. The Ferrari is back from Scotland and in dire need of a clean, but I don't really have time to do that today. That's actually filthy, isn't it? Wonderful, but that's how it should be. It's being driven, it's got PPF on it, so it's protected and well looked after. But like I said, today, it's a mini adventure day. And fingers crossed it's going to start first time on me right now. I probably shouldn't leave that on the roof or I'm in for trouble. So let me pop that on the passenger seat. Is this going to work? Because I did run it for a while to try and get the battery back to life, but you never know. Yeah! The old faithful is back into life. I knew it had it in it. My fun little raspy thing. So, like I said, taking the car out on the roads, go for a little drive. Just enjoy it, because that's what it's here for. So then, off we trundle. This is why I don't like parking backwards, because you can't see around the wall as you're reversing, and if a car is coming, that could spell trouble. But my garage is actually quite funny, because this car is so small, it just bobbles straight up the ramps, whereas getting the FF down is not quite so easy. But let me get on my way. I'll head straight out of London and try and find some nicer roads as quickly as I can. Well, it is certainly looking a little bit gloomier today than I had hoped for. The road is wet, it's a little bit foggy and misty and very grey up there, but at least it's not raining on me. However, we do have some very exciting news today on the Ford GT front. Well, technically yesterday, obviously, by the time this video is online. Ford Performance have put out a press release, finally, with some official numbers for GT, how much power it's got and how heavy it is. So those numbers are 656 PS, 647 brake horsepower. So 19 PS behind, let's say, the 675 LT. Not very much, pretty equivalent. The torque, 746 Newton meters, which is 550 foot-pounds. So 746, the LT has 700, to put that into perspective. So 46 Newton meters more, which makes up more than the 19 horsepower less, let's say. So slightly more powerful than the 675 LT. But the weight is the one that's confused me, because the Ford GT, carbon tub, carbon body panels, no seats, it's padding straight into the chassis. You can have carbon wheels on it. It is basically lightweight, lightweight, lightweight. Yet the press release says that it is, I think, 6.47 pounds per horsepower. No, 4.67 pounds per horsepower, I should get that right, which I calculate means that the weight of the car is 3,054 pounds, which is known as 1,385 kilos. Now 1,385 kilos for a coupe dry weight. The LT is 1,238, which makes it 147 kilos heavier than the 675 LT. So I don't entirely know how that's going to shape up. They've put it for some tests around a track against the LT and against the Speciale, and they did about a second quicker than the LT, and I think 2 or 3 seconds quicker than the Speciale, which stacks up to what we know of those two cars as is. But obviously you never know, because that's not an independent test, so to speak, who's done the testing. But in any case, it is quick, and it is nice to finally know a little bit more information about that car that eventually I'm going to have to be paying a massive deposit for. I've been talking to Ford a little bit to find out if there's any way of maybe finding a slightly earlier car, because I'm sure you guys want to see it, the build process, the ordering kit. I would love to be able to share all of that with you, so hopefully that can happen, but if not, it's going to be when my standard allocation is, which is a couple of years down the line from now. Not very much I can do about that, but it is nice to know that it is 656 PS of power in the new Ford GT, which puts it very much in supercar territory. My only question that I alluded to in my Q&A is, how is that going to compare by the time cars are being delivered to Europe, let's say in 2 or 3 years time? Is that still going to be a relevant number? You know, McLaren are about to take the game over 700 with their equivalent car in the same category. You can pretty much bet the 488 Speciale will do exactly the same. That's going to go over 700 for sure, because the 488 is 670, so expect it to be 720, 730. Then what else do we have? We've got even the new F12. The new F12 coming out at Geneva. That's probably going to break 800 horsepower. So 656 is not next generation. I know they're using the 3.5 litre EcoBoost V6, so it's a V6 again, another reason it should be a little bit lighter than McLaren's and whatnot. It is, they said in the press release, lighter than a 488, but the dry weight of a 488 is 1370, so actually 15 kilos lighter.
Red light camera reported ahead.
Thanks, Waze. 15 kilos lighter than the GT, but I don't know these numbers specifically, and nor do I know if McLaren's weigh as little as they say they do, or by the time you actually put some options back in, like the aircon and entertainment and stuff, if it then takes the weight significantly higher. I don't know all the exact precise numbers. I am, however, looking forward to getting a go in it. It sounds like that might be possible before too long, and you can bet I'm going to be sharing that with you guys. Maybe I'll even be able to go out to the factory in Canada and film something of it out there, and share a little bit more. I'm just poodling along in my London traffic right now, enjoying the bumps, because this car is very rough when you hit a bump. It can be pretty savage. But let's go try and find something a little bit nicer. I guess in rather typical fashion, I've not done a very good job of this today. I came exploring and I found a whole load of very, very muddy roads, and I've been following a load of construction vehicles, and now I've reached road ahead closed, which means I'm going nowhere in that direction, so that means I shall have to turn around. Oh dear. You can probably just about make out on the window quite how muddy I've managed to make it. I tell you what, reversing this thing is hilarious, just because the A pillars, B pillars, C pillars are all so tiny, you can just see everything. But yeah, the car is a total mess. If I had realised how dirty it was going to get doing this, I might not have just brought it out for a stroll. If I run the wipers, check this out because it's just funny. There's like a little dribble of water. It doesn't really do a whole lot of much. I think it probably just has water in it, not even washing stuff, although all the muddy water. Ew, so horrible. Yeah. Not so good. Oh, random thing, because I know a lot of people wonder. I often have my phone open, as you can probably just about see on that camera, with what the cameras are currently seeing on the phone screen. And the reason I do that is so that I can check they all start up in sync using the Play Memories app. And obviously they're all seeing in the right direction, nothing's moved, and if there's a camera on the outside of the car, it hasn't fallen off. Although there isn't right now. Good blip in here, and away we go. And the funny thing is, you can just like drag it, but because it's so slow, you're barely going anywhere, and not breaking speed limits, which is, I guess, the objective of the day. So at least the car will feel like it's had a good run. When it was at Dub recently, it had a new fuel sender fitted, so I've been sort of experimenting with that, I guess. I ran it to empty and then filled it back up to full. Here we go, come on Mini, you can do this. 5,000 RPM. I get to 60 reasonably quickly. That was 55 or so in at the 60 limit, of course. Give it that blip. So it had a new fuel sender. That seems to be working as you would hope it would. Everything else is actually pretty decent. You know, nothing has gone wrong with this car other than self-inflicted things following that bump pothole and then the car that reversed into it. Other than that, it's all running completely spot on. I mean, it's not that old, and I know this is a funny topic when it comes up, and I say it's a classic because technically it was designed decades ago, but it's actually only 16 years old, which is not as old as cars many people out there are driving, I'm sure. I mean, how many of you guys have a car that's older than this? But I think what I'm going to do is head back towards home, and then when I get home I will pop in because I want to show you, well, there's nothing really new to show you, but in my model car cabinet, just because people have been asking about it recently. I haven't shown you for a while. A couple of cars are off being painted, or I've got some things waiting to arrive in the future. Woo, countryside, also known as Bumpland, because, well, actually this bit's not too bad, but just before I started the camera rolling, the road was literally throwing me everywhere, and this thing is quite go-karty. Well, there we go. It's much better in the city than it is out exploring at speed. Plus, you do not want to have an incident in this thing at any kind of speed, knowing that there's probably not very much crumple zone or safety or... It is funny, you know, and I've got a truck bearing me down. I'm going 50 at a 60 limit, but I can't go any faster. Okay, I've got to back off a bit. This is silly. Alright, onwards. The day has whistled by, but I'm now back home, so let's go take a look at the model car cabinet. I will happily accept that this is a slightly nerdy corner of the room. At the top I have my number plate ready for the Ford GT. Then we've got all of the cars that I have owned in chronological order, and people always ask me various things like, there's no 1/18 scale V8 Vantage Roadster because they don't make one. I've got a V8 Vantage Coupe currently being built into a Roadster. My 12C would go here, but it's currently away being painted. I've got a sample of the blue that I had, the old Shmee blue, and it's being painted in that colour. There's no 1/18 scale of either of these yet. The three-wheeler they will probably never make. The 650S Spider is on pre-order, so that will come at some point, and normally when I do this everybody links me to it, but it's not out yet, so I know about it, guys. Then we've got the Le Mans Blue AFF, which is really, that's my favourite, because like 3D printed wheels to make it all completely correct. Then we have, I think probably everyone's favourite Cerulean Blue LT Coupe, the GT4 that was right out of the box, the Mini that the scale is totally wrong with the Lego model, but I'll keep it there for now until I can find one. They don't make a 1/18 scale Mini either. Classic Mini, just 1/14s and slightly different things. Then we've got the new Focus RS. I can't remember if that was here last time. Then eventually we'll have an Orion Purple LT Spider and a GT8, but there's no GT8 model yet of any sort, although I think one is being commissioned, so hopefully that will come in future. And I bought a Ford GT, even though it's kind of the prototype rather than the production vehicle, but I thought it would be a bit of fun. And maybe when I'm ready to release my spec, when I've done it, what I could do is paint the model in advance of releasing it. That would be quite fun. Well, just random bits and pieces. The electric lime vinyl wrap I had of the GT4, the paint sample of Orion Purple, and then we've got the little mini Champs models of the LT Spider that some of you I think have already received if you pre-ordered it. More of those to come very soon. And then I've got the prototype here of the LT Coupe, which is going to launch in the not too distant future. It will be some point in the next couple of months. They're still working on it and making sure it's done right. I think there's some slightly delays on that front, but thank you to everyone who's being so patient. They don't come from me, they come from Mini Champs, but it's really cool that they exist and that they're doing them. So yes, that's the update of what's going on in here. And at that point, I'm going to wrap up for today. I've still got this picture up behind me, and at some point I might change it. What I really want to do is get the LT Spider and the GT8 together and do some really cool photo shoot just with those two cars. Completely bespoke configurations and very, very special machines too. And that will replace the old Gumball photo that I have with the 650S. But thanks for following me out with the Mini today. It's exciting that we've now got some Ford GT news. Hopefully it won't be too long until we've got a little bit more. But thanks as always for watching, and I'll catch up with you again very soon. Cheers!